We're live right here in front of our home in Orange Park, Florida. We are just beginning to see some of the bands of the hurricane whip around on top of us. We're about 15 miles as a crow flies to the coastline. Many of those folks out close to the water were demanded to exit and evacuate, which many of them did. Some of them didn't. We've been watching television of the sad reports. St. Augustine and the Daytona Beach area getting hit pretty good right now with a lot of storm surge. That means the water is coming in from the ocean, going up into the bays, into the rivers, and that's causing most of the damage, it sounds like, because the eye of the storm is too far out for that first main wall to hit with that strong force. But as you know, for the last 2 or 3 days, we here in the United States have continued to pray hard right, hard right, hard right. We're just praying for that thing to go right, and it did. It turned in the middle of the night and did not come inland, and we praise the Lord for that. And we want all of you watching to just keep on praying for us, okay? We've got a lot of limbs and tree limbs, debris, a lot of trash in the yard right now, and it's going to get even worse. About 5 weeks ago, the hurricane that came in off the Gulf knocked down an 87-foot tall oak tree that used to stand right there where all that water is and all. And when the yard gets saturated, the oak trees, the root system is not deep enough here in northeast Florida. We're not like Georgia, Alabama, where those tree roots go deep. Water oak root system is more along the ground, so when it comes up, it's just a huge piece of ground that comes up with it. Just this week, we had one removed right over here that was even taller. I'd guess it to be probably about 95 foot tall, because if it had fallen, it would hit our home back over here, which about 6 or 7 years ago, a tree standing right out here, oak tree, fell on my neighbor's house right there. And that was not funny. Kathy and I had literally come out on this porch that I'm standing on during the storm that night, and we heard the cracking and the popping, and we watched that tree fall on that home right back there. So we tried to do all we can to eliminate a lot of the trees. We've had 6 trees cut down just in the last week or so, knowing and watching this storm coming and the volatility that our home and our neighbors are in when a tree goes down. All up and down the street over here, there are lots of trees that are very tall, and it could very easily fall on some of these power lines. Right now we're just getting bands of rain, but again, we're at the beginning stages of the storm. And it's about 1 p.m. or so Eastern time here in the Orange Park, Florida area. But thank you, people, for praying. Thank you for so many texts, phone calls, emails. But Kathy and I are fine. We're farther enough inland. We feel like we're safe and be as safe here. And this way we're at the home if something did take place. We're not really close to a flood line, at least we hope so, but we've never had anything like this quite happen. So what's called Black Creek is behind us about 2 miles, and it could be that that Black Creek rises, and if the water rises from Black Creek, there's a potential of it coming on over into the neighborhoods where we live. So anyway, in the next probably 4 or 5 hours, we're really going to be facing some very difficult times of wind. Trees, no doubt, will be coming down. We've been watching the news, as you have, of St. Augustine being just blasted with the rise of water, and a lot of the storefronts and all being devastated, buildings, hotels out on the waterway being hurt. But fortunately, it's not as bad as it could have been. And fortunately, we've only heard of 1 death. There may be more coming, and I'm sure there probably will be. But the governor and our mayors and all up and down the coast have been real strong about saying, heed the call, the warning, evacuate, evacuate. And I think that was wise, because it did look like this thing was going to come in with a vengeance. But again, like Psalms 91 says, God is our protector. He is the one that's going to hover over us, and he has so far. We thank God for that, and we hope it's same up in South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina. As it moves forward, it looks like it could be devastation up there as well. I was supposed to start a revival up in Brunswick, Georgia, which is about 50 miles south of, or excuse me, north of Jacksonville, where we live. And yesterday the church called the revival off, which was wise, and I'm so glad, because we're going to have, when it's all said and done here at our home, we're probably going to have 3 or 4 days of just constantly picking up limbs. Hopefully no big trees come down, but it took us about 3 days with the last storm that came through here, and it was not anything like this one, just with the limbs and tree bark scattered everywhere. And of course we had the big tree come down. So homes all over the coast, up and down the coast, are going to have a lot of cleanup. If teams and all want to get out to help, especially some of those over on the coast, it'd be great. Disaster relief teams from the Florida Baptist Convention and the Southern Baptist Convention will be working hour upon hour. A lot of people have come in from other parts of the nation, and they're queued up just west of here out what's called 301, ready when this storm passes through to just invade the neighborhoods to get power back up and to help homes in need. So again, we love you. We appreciate you following us on social media. David Burton Ministries is going great. We're so thankful. We're staying very, very busy. It's going to be good that revival was postponed this next week, because we'll need to be real busy right here picking up and cleaning up, and we hope there's no major damage. Thank you again. Love you. Read Psalms 91 if you haven't read it today, in honor maybe of all of us here on the eastern coast. But for those of you watching on the eastern coast, just for a little bit of comfort to know that God is with us and God's going to take care of us, and He's going to see us through all of this. Have a great day bragging on Jesus as you can through social media or personally if you're not in the midst of this storm. Thank you.